Good morning, and you're tuning in to the Urban Conservative. I'm Chaz Neal, and I have a co-host with me today, John Tell,
What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing?
and we're being brought to you by the Leon Black Independent Media. We are all about transparency, truth, and accountability. The Urban Conservative is all about news on the streets, gun violence, crime, politics, and how we solve our community's most hardest issues. How we can change our communities for the better. Let's get back to family, community, and building foundational roots. Let's make sure nobody gets left behind. Shut up and help. And on today's episode of the Urban Conservative, we will be talking about truth and transparency. Um, and the first story that I'm going to talk about is Kanye West, Candace Owens, and Selah Marley.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if people don't know, Selah is Bob Marley's granddaughter. And the fact that I hate about this is that they want to bring children into it, especially when it was a part of what do they call it, a fashion show, and it was a paid contract. Now, people will do anything for money because we've seen that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So why are we getting mad at what people are getting paid to do? It's her job. It's a fashion show.
Right.
You know, are we gonna? Because I don't get mad. I see people get mad at the sports because they ignore the community violence. They ignore the police brutality sometimes, and they might give us a token of a little end zone. But we don't be getting mad at the way that we get mad at Kanye. It's
Right.
because we get mad at Kanye because he's supposed to be a role model.
Right.
Now, just because a certain side doesn't see him as a role model or a leader, why maybe does not a certain side doesn't? We have to really think about who we look at as role models and who we consider leaders in our community, because just because we're being told from an entertainer, a celebrity, to not follow. Y'all got that's just the same way we're doing with these Democrats. Y'all vote because there's a D in front of them.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like our during the not to get off on a little tangent, but John Legend endorsed a candidate, Hennepin County attorney here in Minneapolis, and
Really?
people are like, ooh, John Legend ain't never met the broad.
You know what that is, though.
Man, like, how you gonna endorse somebody you don't even know?
Right.
If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense.
Talk about it. But you
And
know what? That goes into like Dr. Oz and what you were saying before, like there's different kinds of politicians and Republicans and Democrats, but at the end of the day, a lot of the bad ones is all about the money. I'm not well, actually, to me, they all bad.
right,
Um,
right.
but a lot of what you are hitting at, is the difference between conservative and what you're really getting at here, and then these fake politicians that's really just trying to make a quick buck.
No, and that's what they're basically doing. Our lives, our votes are basically just worth dollars. That's all they
Yeah.
see. They you
Yep.
you see these corporations, the Walmarts, the Targets, the Kohl's,
Yep.
the Michaels. I know we talked about Michaels, uh, construction. You know, you see these Fortune 500 companies, and yeah, of course.
Every June I hate because I'm queer. Every June I hate to see the rainbows on everything.
Mm,
It
mm.
drives me fucking nuts because they're exploiting my community for a quick buck. They will take the same item and slap a rainbow on it, make 3 times the amount from people in my community. Like, how's that okay? And you know what? Now that Juneteenth is a federal holiday, and that motherfucker tried to patent or copyright or whatever he tried to trademark the word Juneteenth so he can make
As a
ice cream.
flavor.
Yep. And
As a
then
flavor.
Yep, they're gonna be trying to make a quick buck off of our asses too. Like,
But you know what's crazy is that Walmart doesn't sell that Juneteenth ice cream anymore,
nah,
but
they
they
pulled it
still
from the
sell the
shelves.
Gay Pride one.
Yeah, exactly, because you got these white motherfuckers and these black motherfuckers, but mostly white gay motherfuckers that take part in that shit. They help to pull the rest of us down. Period. Because they
And
pocket in that money too.
that's the crazy part, because everything that we do is about money.
Yep.
Everything is about money, and we're worth more dead than we are alive, and that's sick.
Yep.
That's sick. That I look at these rappers, PNB Rock, King Von,
Yeah.
Young Dolph, Drakeo, and a lot of them people didn't even know, but now they know them because of violence, because they lost their lives, and people didn't know who PNB Rock was. They might have heard them on a song, but now they know him because why? He's dead. Because he was all over the news, he was all over CNN, and now he's you rest in peace, rest in peace. Why are y'all going to talk about rest in peace? Because y'all didn't respect the man. Just like again,
Honestly, I ain't know who he was until this happened. Never heard of him.
You know, I knew who like Drakeo was a little bit, because I do kind of I'm old school, so I listened to like Sibo, MC8, a lot of the underground rappers, and Drakeo was just like Nip until he got that last album. Nip was underground, but he still had big artists on his records.
Right.
You know, and that was the same way with Drakeo, PNB Rock. They were just underground. But now they're mainstream because they're dead, and they get paid off of that. And people want to talk about Illuminati. No, it's just dangerous out here in these streets.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? So the next story that I want to get into is Iowa. So this happened in April of last year, and the reason why that I'm talking about it is Iowa is a Republican area, and at this time in my life, in my journey, this picture right here is we shut down the Iowa State Capitol. It was me, Aesthetic, Cortez, Ashley, and it was a bunch of high school students that were paying attention to politics. Iowa was doing some bullshit laws, trying to pass them on voting, and making it harder for Black and brown in Iowa. So there was a call for help. We went down there, and they didn't really, not saying that Iowa didn't know what they were doing, but we wanted to make sure that they were heard. So we did a die-in. We brought everybody into the state capitol, and everybody got on the ground for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. We were on the ground screaming, say his name, because there's cases in Iowa too. Don't get it twisted. But we wanted them to feel what George Floyd felt. And as you can see, you see some Iowa State troopers, you see some politicians that were all around. But so there was about 100 people and this is their cafeteria area. Not in the basement or whatever, but there was really a large presence that day of state troopers, police. And I felt bad for these kids. And these youth in Iowa, the people in Iowa, period. If there is a video that we're going to play here in a second, and I want to really just give a little bit more context to this. I think the video is about a minute long. But the young lady queen in there is a high school junior at the time, 17. Her name is Josie. Hell of a queen, but so many youth were the the youth down in Iowa are the ones that are the loudest, are the ones that
Oh
are the fearless. And it's really shocked me that they really, even the politicians and black politicians, even in Iowa, were being silent and allowed this to go on. And you will see what I'm talking about in this video, because the Iowa State Police brutalized a teenager for her First Amendment rights, for
Oh
speaking
shit.
up, her freedom of speech, and took that as that she was being abusive, assaultive.
Right.
And
Yep.
this is a teenager, a young woman, and the way that they treated her was shocking. So you can please play the video.
Do you did you send that to me? Because
Yes, I
I
did.
have it's a YouTube video.
Yep.
Let me double check here. And that is the hold on. One moment, guys
No, that's all good.
and gals. All right, here we go. Oh, okay. I gotcha.
My bad. I should have set it up.
Oh nah, you're good, brother.
Just getting their badge numbers. Good job, Queen. You got it too? Yep. Here. You see how they didn't give you? You have to give her your name and badge number. Everybody on this floor has given their name and badge number. You are hey, yo! Hey, yo!
Wow.
Hey, yo! Why are you arresting her? Why are you arresting her? Why are you arresting her? Why are you arresting her?
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So I want people to know that they want to call me. I'm going to break something down because I disagree with this highly as being a conservative, that police is a coward. He didn't do his job. She wasn't doing anything but asking for what he was supposed to be given, his
Right.
badge and his name, his badge number and his name. And he simply couldn't even do what the law is entitled.
And she walked away.
Yes, right. She walked away and went because he told her to go to the sergeant. So that's what she did. She was going to talk to the sergeant who was in the supervisor of the area. And the way that they reacted to her was bullshit. And I'm glad that because they literally charged her with some trumped up charges. She did get all the charges dropped, but the way that these officers were acting to see, look at that. She didn't even do nothing. And the way that he pushes people.
And then the woman tried to grab the phone and they took, wow.
So that is aesthetic. And then you see,
okay.
Right, that was aesthetic. That was with the young queen, with Josie. And aesthetic, even, I didn't even notice at the time, but that they put charges on aesthetic. And hers were dropped as well.
And this is, again, Iowa, correct?
Yep, Des Moines, Iowa, the state capital. So it's not just, and that wasn't, they tried to call that the Republicans down there tried to call that an insurrection.
What?
And I was highly pissed. That let me see if I can find a story real quick.
Yeah.
And we can talk about it. But how does that make you feel as a black man? Because I'm sure that's not a story that you knew about.
No, but in isolated incidences like this, when there's areas that maybe don't have a higher black population or are in well, to me, because I'm on the East Coast in the Northeast, which is highly densely populated and old, to me it's in the middle of nowhere. If there's a smaller black population, it seems to be that they try to get away with as much as they can, and they will go to the extreme to make sure that you pay the price, literally pay the price, whether it's monetarily or behind bars, whatever it is. And it enrages me because people in these smaller cities and smaller towns don't get the help and backing that they need
No, they don't.
nationwide.
No, they definitely don't. And so I'm gonna read. And I was wrong on the age. She was 18. Um, an 18
Oh,
year
that
old
makes sense.
an 18-year-old protester has been found not guilty of assaulting an officer at the Iowa State House. Cell phone video captured the scuffle last summer. It wasn't a scuffle. During a Back to Blue protest. It wasn't a Back to Blue protest. Uh, she asked a trooper for a name and badge number before she was taken into custody. A jury acquitted her on Tuesday. I'm glad that she was acquitted for the simple fact of, as you can see in there, she did not assault any.
She didn't even touch anyone at
No,
all.
no, no. Um,
And you know what? This to me, this is nothing new for me to experience, and I'm sure it's nothing new for you. But
right.
to viewers, this is a common occurrence. They will slap anything they can on us to deter us from actually doing anything. They want to wear us down as much as they can so that we don't take part in anything like this again.
Okay, so here it is. I'm gonna send it so you can put it on the screen. But
Yeah.
they literally, you had the politicians in Iowa calling this what happened is, if you, and there's even a picture, because careful Iowa, your racism is showing, that CNN used in uh, the thumbnail for the article. But it says that a group of right-wing websites and social media personalities, somewhat hundreds of thousands of followers, claim that Black Lives Matter protesters stormed Iowa State Capitol last week. Some of them I hate that word, claim that the protesters had forced their way into the building. Another suggested that what happened in Des Moines, Iowa was exactly like what happened at the U.S. Capitol in Washington on January 6th.
Yeah.
It wasn't, not even close, because the Iowa protesters did not storm the state capitol. No, we walked in. The doors were unlocked. They were open. They were in session. Yeah, we even had a permit to protest in the building. I didn't
It
know
was
that.
a non-violent protest.
Right, we had permits and everything. And
Oh wow.
so, facts first, unlike the people who stormed the Capitol on January 6th, the Iowa protesters walked lawfully through security, getting their belongings scanned and their temperatures checked. At this point,
Wow.
because of COVID, yeah, the Iowa protesters even had a permit to protest in the building. The building is open to the public anyway, and the protesters did not disrupt legislative proceedings once they were inside. So that's a whole narrative, and I'm really honestly glad that that there was people on that jury that paid attention, um, and knew that this girl was innocent and that these trumped up charges were ridiculous, because we didn't do anything but to make these people wanted to be heard.
Yeah.
It was about
Yeah.
a bill. They were increasing penalties for protesting related offenses, failure. They wanted to provide additional legal protection to police officers and new civil immunity to people who invariably hit protesters with their cars.
That part.
They wanted to deny state funding to local governments that cut their police budgets by a bigger percentage to make up their overall budgets. They wanted to prohibit public entities from conducting mandatory training or teaching school curriculums that promote various divisive concepts, such as that the U.S. and Iowa are systemically racist or sexist. That was the kind of things that they were facing in Iowa. And that's why I wanted to join. I wanted to be there. I wanted to stand in solidarity because these were people that weren't being heard.
Right.
That part. And these are honestly a lot of the people that were down there that day were kids. You know what I'm saying? This would be their first time voting. And the fact that they were being demonized. I mean, I'm at 150 that day, a Twitter account using the alias CIA Simulation Warlord posted a video clip captioned "Happening Now, BLM at the Iowa Capitol building." It's crazy, yeah. And then somebody even 30 minutes later tweeted, "BLM forcing their way into the Iowa State Capitol looks a lot."
Oh my goodness!
Yes, it was crazy. Even David Harris Jr., who has more than 595,000 Twitter followers, repeated that same false claim.
Of course.
In National File, which is then an article on me.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. That's what I'm saying of when these people run with a narrative. And that's why I don't like when people call me a Republican. I'm a conservative, which is a way of life, which is about bringing that family nucleus back together, about bringing family values so that our daughters just don't think that it's okay to be out here having sex with anybody, so that they get married. I thought that's what the American dream was, to get that. And what I mean by an American dream, right? Because people want to say that American dream is a man and a woman. No, American dream is to be whoever you want to be with. Right. It's the freedom of choice to love, because your heart is blind. Your heart loves what it wants to love, regardless if it's white, if it's black, if it's Hispanic. Your heart don't see that. Your heart sees a genuine, loving person that you fell in love with. You didn't fall in love with them because of their skin color. If you did, that's a problem. You know what I'm saying? That's a problem. I would really wonder why you're with that person if you're with them for the skin color. The next story, right? The next story I want to get into is Flint, Michigan. Flint, Michigan, again, I want to talk about, hasn't had sustainable drinking water in years. And we see that what's going on with Jackson, Mississippi. And all I see is a blame game. You have right now, Michigan has a Democratic governor. During a crisis, it was a Republican. Now, as you see, there's only one been. Before we got on to do the show today, I was researching the story a little bit, and only one person has been convicted out of the Flint, Michigan water crisis, and that is, my understanding, a public works employee. Not any elected official. Not any elected official who actually had the power, who had the control to fix this. Now, it brings me to Jackson, Mississippi, because they want to do a blame game. How about everybody just take responsibility, regardless of whatever political party you are? Take accountability so you can get unity, because Jackson has no drinking water. You have a college football team down there, HBCU, Jackson State University, but the governor's residence is in Jackson, Mississippi. Right. How does he have drinking water? But college students, don't have drinking water. And I'm not even going to bring race into it.
Right.
But y'all can, because Mississippi got a white governor and Jackson State is a HBCU. So if you don't know what HBCU is, it's a historically black college or university. So 2 + 2 = 4 in my book.
Right. Talk about it. You say it all the time. You don't make dollars.
I ain't gonna bring up race. They do it for y'all.
Right.
But it's a damn shame that we can't get police charged. We can't get cops convicted. We can't get politicians charged. We can do hell of investigations, but we don't ever get no charges. It's always acquittals. But what about our community members who are sitting in prison right now that are innocent, but yet being treated like an animal, don't have drinking water, don't have sustainable food, doesn't have access to health care, doesn't have access to mental health services, and yet we say that everybody should be treated like a human. Everybody deserves food. Everybody deserves healthy drinking water. What about Puerto Rico?
Oh,
We
yes.
care so much about America. What about Puerto Rico? Biden, if you can hear me, what about Puerto Rico? Since you want to give all this money to Ukraine, what about Puerto Rico?
Yeah.
Why do we even make them a territory if we're not going to take care of them?
Talk about it. Well, Biden ain't no different than Trump.
Right.
And I keep telling people this because I'm sick of this. What is so good about Biden and what has he done? Like, he's done some stuff only recently, but that's only because elections are coming up. You know, he's got to look good. He's got to keep his base satisfied, or the ones that's, you know, rooting for the Democrats or whatever. But they ain't no different. Look at how he's been treating them immigrants and Haitians and you know what I mean? Like, he hasn't done anything different, and there's a lot of policies that he has not changed that Trump had. He hasn't repealed them.
Right.
Open your eyes.
There's no, honestly, people want to say that there's a difference between a Republican and a Democrat. There isn't. One is just the lesser of two evils.
Talk about it.
You know what I'm saying? And not all Republicans agree to either, because there's different segments of it.
Right.
And hopefully this week I will have another guest, either Walter Hudson, who is a city council member out of Albertville, Minnesota. Hopefully I'm going to get Cicely Davis, who is running for Congress out of CD5, and Mr. Sean Holster out of Senate District 63. These are all Republicans. Holster is white, but Davis and Hudson are both African-American and can't even come into the Black community. Not saying that they can't, because they do, but aren't heard because they got that R in front of their names. And what's crazy to me is everybody wants to talk about, oh, they're racist, they're this, they're that. What the fuck do you call what's going on right now in Democratic ran cities? What do you call
Good point. Good point.
What do you call that? Because they might say that they're not racist. Look at their legislation. Who does it target? Who do their policies target?
Right.
Black youth, Black men. But they don't want to talk about that because that's what their policies deflect, is us.
For real.
You know, and the next I want to get into after Flint is talking about how our people do us. And this is truth and transparency. This is what this is about today. And the next clip you're gonna see is, and I got this one, bro.
Bet.
Let's see.
There we go.
All the way.
I got you.
You see it? Okay.
11 that I've been a part of, and every time they get more violent
Seriously?
and more serious. You know.
So, why was it so bad today? Like, how is this worse?
62 police.
You counted?
Yeah, 62 police, 18 cop cars.
Can you see it? For some
4
reason, I'm not
undercover
seeing.
SUVs, 2 white snatch vans, a
I can't
full
see it
SWAT
either.
team, a full
All right,
white
hold
cop
on.
team.
Let's try that again.
11
All
that
right,
I've been
there
a
we
part
go.
of, and every time they get more violent
Seriously?
and more serious. You know.
So, why was it so bad today? Like, how is this worse?
62 police.
You counted?
Yeah, 62 police, 18 cop cars, 4 undercover SUVs, 2 white snatch vans, a full
Yeah, I'm still not
SWAT
seeing
team,
it, bro.
It's okay. We
a
can just
full
let the
white
audio
cop team,
play, bro.
You know,
Yeah.
cops from 4 precincts.
There had to be more than 18 cars because there's still 18 there now.
That's what I count. I didn't even count what was on Lake Street because I
Right.
came up 28. Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah,
That's
because I've been more on Lake
Yeah.
Street.
Yeah, no warning, just no resources, no nothing. And then a mother's love, that group
Passing out coffee.
to the cops.
I-
They didn't give anything to the homeless people.
I
They brought
replied
the
to your
cops.
tweet.
Yeah,
I said to the cops or to the people?
To the cops,
Well, I
yeah.
said to the pigs or the people.
yeah.
Yeah.
The chaplain brought donuts and coffee to the police.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Okay, so, they also didn't have a way to store their belongings.
Yeah,
Like,
we're
they
not
just-
allowed to go anywhere near there. Like people don't have their medication, they have Narcan. One woman was just crying to me because her son's high school graduation cap was there. And she was so proud.
You know, this is what we have to deal with in the Black community, and it's not even the Black community; it's the poor community.
Mhm.
Now, if people don't understand or don't know what a Mother's Love Initiative is, it is a Black woman-led organization. And that really hurt. People sent me this yesterday. And the whole video was 18 minutes long. And it just sickened me because they're supposed to be out here for the people. That doesn't show that they're out here for the people. That shows that you're out here for the oppressor, that you work for the oppressor. And for me, that is very, very, very sick that they run with a narrative. And this is something that I'm going to get into. And this is the only time that I'm going to make a statement or anything about what is going on. And I'm going to ask everybody to do the same that I'm about to do. Because before you play this video, actually, you know what? I'll play the video first, and then I will say what I have to say.
Bet.
Killed by a Brooklyn Center police officer. Now, more than a year later, the mother of millions of dollars were raised for the family of Daunte Wright after he was shot and killed by a Brooklyn Center police officer. Now, more than a year later, the mother of Daunte Wright's only son is suing, saying Daunte Jr. hasn't received any of the money raised. Our top story at 10, the fight over money for Daunte Jr. Our Courtney Godfrey joins us live now. Courtney, China Whitaker says her son hasn't received any of the money raised from the GoFundMe.
Yeah, that's right, Amy. In evidence filed in court today, the original GoFundMe page said part of the money raised would provide support to Daunte's infant son. Lawyers claiming at some point that language was omitted from the site, and a year and a half later, his son has yet to receive any money.
Wow.
Days after Daunte Wright was killed by a Brooklyn Center police officer, in a video that's been seen around the world, images of him and his young son went viral. his family remembering him as a dedicated father.
Junior was the joy of his life, and he lived for him every single day.
But now allegations that Wright's parents and the Ben Crump law firm have been keeping money from now 3-year-old Dante Jr.
Trump needs to be asked that question. Where's the child's money?
In a lawsuit filed today, lawyers representing the child's mother, China Whitaker, say Ben Crump promised her that she would receive at least 50% of GoFundMe proceeds. And with more than $1 million raised to date, her son has received nothing.
When you make a promise of 50% of the proceeds, you engage the public to rely on that promise and give you money. And for that money not to go to what it was originally the purpose, or at least one particular purpose, the young kid, that's disturbing on many levels.
And while the site says it's managed by an attorney at the Ben Crump law firm, a spokesperson for Crump responding to the lawsuit, calling this a family dispute. Ben Crump Law never handled or controlled the money from this GoFundMe account, which was under the sole direction of Dante's parents. Ben Crump Law did not benefit from any of the funds raised, and we did not accept any fee in this case.
It's sad that we even have to even ask his grandparents to give him his money. You would think his grandparents as well would just be like, my grandchild needs his money. But that's not the case.
We reached out to attorneys representing Katie and Arbery Wright and did not hear back. China Whitaker's attorneys say they didn't want to go this route, but that multiple attempts to resolve this amicably were unsuccessful. Kelsey?
All right, thank you, Courtney.
Wow.
What I'm going to say is that is a performative lawsuit. I know the Wright family personally. I know what Dante meant to Aubrey Wright. And the fact that they're asking for Katie or Aubrey to even make a fucking statement is bullshit. Because where was everybody at with the other 3 that were dropped? We need to start letting the system play out instead of running with these fucking narratives, because this really hurts people. And that's why I haven't made a statement. I've tried to keep my, people always say every fight isn't everybody's fight, right?
Right.
So, and maybe sometimes people need to stay in their lanes. This is one time that I'm going to stay in my lane, because at the end of the day, it is a family dispute.
Right.
And the fact that this has gotten to be a civil matter of this is where we can't, and I'm not saying, I want people to know, I love Katie Wright. I love Aubrey Wright. That is my brother. That's my sister. I want people to understand that's a family unit. These people are a family. And for anything that you want to believe that Fox 9, Star Tribune, National File is saying, instead of believing what people have seen with their own eyes,
we don't trust mainstream media.
That's so. Thank you. So, and for anybody that was getting on Angela Williams, all she was doing was wanted to be is a concerned community member, because there's a lot of scams going on out here right now, and we need to protect one another. We need to protect one another. So I hope that anybody that felt like Angela Williams' post was disrespectful, it wasn't. I know that lady. I love her to death. And I know where her heart is. And this had nothing to do with Katie, Aubrey. This is to slander. And I'm talking to Fox 9. I'm talking to Lee Hutton, because all you're doing is a political, because if people don't understand of what's going on is in Brooklyn Center, the Kobe Heisler and Dante Wright Act, there is amendments coming up. That the city council is going to vote on to make changes in their ordinances for pulling over people and for how the way that the police interact in the community. So I know what's going on, and people need to understand what's going on. And we got to stop feeding in to the deflect and distract tactics that media and politicians use, because our lives our babies are not political issues. So we need to stop letting these politicians make everything a political issue, because in Minnesota, abortion isn't on the ballot, but public safety is, education is, homelessness is, overdoses is. Vote that way, because locally in Minnesota, abortion isn't on the ballot. Election fraud isn't on the ballot. Trump isn't on the ballot. So let's stick to what matters the most at home. Let's stick to what matters the most. And I've got one more story that I am gonna end on today.
What you got for us, Chaz? What you got for us?
I'm trying to. Did I do talk about everything? Oh, so it is the Freedom Block. Silk put that in the group.
Got you.
If you want to just click on the article in there. Yeah. So Akron activists aren't satisfied with civilian police review board approved by city council. Akron will have an 11-member civilian police review board now that the city council approved an ordinance proposed by Mayor Dan Horrigan, who is not running for re-election. That was announced yesterday. Yes, that was. And this man is, I so dislike this man. Activists who have been calling for police reform in the aftermath of the fatal police shooting of Jayland Walker, however, are not satisfied with this plan. Akron NAACP President Judy Hill and Ray Green Jr., Executive Director of the community organizing group Freedom Block, are encouraging people to vote in November for a charter amendment that would create a different review board instead. If passed, that plan would supersede the mayor's ordinance. One of their main concerns is that the mayor's ordinance can be changed by future legislation, while their plan would be codified in the city's charter. Now, if people don't understand what a city charter is like the American Constitution. You can't do anything with legislation, with resolutions, with ordinances, if it already is not based in your city charter, because that's what you have to go back into. So if you see Minneapolis just last election cycle did strong mayor, because every form of government has a different type of government. So
right,
Brooklyn,
like every different area or municipality, you mean?
Right. So Brooklyn Center is under the League of Minnesota Cities, which is a charter city. So they're having an insurance policy, where Minneapolis is self-insured. So that's why you see the different lawsuits, because there's stipulations. And when you have an insurance policy, there's a maximum payout. And I learned that when I was doing city charter, when I learned about city charters. So I totally agree with what Freedom Block and the NAACP is attempting to do in Akron, because you want it codified into your city charter, because then it has to go back to the voters. It doesn't get to go to an 11-member elected official, or even it goes to everybody. Let everybody's voice be the king, the leader that day, if that's what you want to say, because that's what voting is about. We the people, the public, and going back to the forms of government, you have Minneapolis, which is a strong mayor, which is an executive, it's called executive mayor. Then you have cities like Brooklyn Center, our Red Wing, Minnesota, Brooklyn Park, that are council city manager. Now, a city manager is a paid employee who doesn't have to live in your city.
Oh, wow.
but has a very good contract. So let's talk about like Reggie Edwards or Kay Coleman from Red Wing. Reggie's from Brooklyn Center. Neither one of them live in the cities that they work for, but yet get paid very highly. Reggie is in top tier, about 160 grand a year, has a car allowance.
Wow.
But lives in Mankato, which is about an hour and 45 minutes.
What?
Nigga, yes.
That's
Yeah, and we say the nigga word over here. So
hell yeah.
If you don't like that, please mute it. Because I know what nigga means. And I'm not gonna let anybody tell me that that's racist. I'm downing my brothers and sisters, because the true meaning is king and queen. I don't know how the definition became to be what it is, but it's just like if we look at the color black and white, what is black? The other side of white, the other color of white. But white is supposed to be all glittery and glorious, but black is supposed to be all dark and ugly. Come on now. Make it make sense to me. So when we really think about this, and we're going to go on as we get deeper into the urban conservative, we're going to talk about some serious issues. We're going to talk about some serious history. We're going to talk about Willie Lynch, and we're going to talk about that in depth. We're going to talk about the makings of a Negro Christian and get into that. We're going to talk about the Great Switch when Republicans turned Democrats. We're going to talk about the Dixiecrat era. We're going to talk about the Jim Crow era. We're going to talk about what Minnesota nice really means, because Minnesota nice don't mean nice. So just enjoy y'all day. Today is Wednesday. So it's middle
now,
of
hold
the
on.
week. Yes.
You had one more clip you want to share with everyone, don't you? It's on the one screen.
Oh no, that was the same one.
Oh, gotcha.
I put it up there twice. I thought it wouldn't play or whatever, so I just re-added.
I think that's why it might not have played.
Probably.
Well, it's good to know for the next time.
Right.
Shit.
But I hope everybody enjoys their Wednesday. And I'm just gonna leave y'all with a little piece today. That look out for thy neighbor. Pay it forward. Let's make it Pay It Forward Wednesday. So if you're listening to this today and you see somebody that maybe just needs a little pat on the shoulder, and I don't mean that I literally pat on the shoulder. You see a not a panhandler, but a person out working a 9-to-5 that is out there with a sign that's looking for help. Pay it forward, even if it's just $1, even if it's that little change that you got sitting in your center console, or maybe they just want a cigarette. You can at least do that. So pay it forward today. Look out for them.
You can also pay it forward by supporting the Leon Black.
Right, that too. Yes. Say it, brother.
Yes. You can hit the bottom of the screen, check out the links down there, and donate to the Leon Block, Pay It Forward, and support independent media, because we are the ones giving it to you real.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And we're going to keep on giving you that realness. We're going to keep on giving you that raw. We're going to keep on giving you that truth. We're going to keep on giving you that transparency. So win or fail, freedom or jail, heaven or hell, wish me well.